Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fred We See Died Laughing and I'm here to do another weekly wrap up. So I got 4 books read this week, and the first book I got read was actually after my wrap up last week, and it was called A Night at the Animal Shelter by Mark J. Asher, and this was just a very short Kindle book about these, I think it's 5 different dogs that have all been left unadopted at this animal shelter on Christmas Eve, and you kind of get the animals' point of view about why they're in the animal shelter and how much they love a new home, and just kind of these adventures they get up to when they realise that some of their cages are unlocked. This was just a really sweet, fun book, and I think it's just perfect for a dog lover or an animal lover. I don't think you have to read this. It's not a really Christmassy book, so you could actually read this any time of year. It doesn't have to be on Christmas or Christmas Eve, but it's definitely one that's just perfect to sit down for a little bit of a short time and just fly through and just love. It definitely was very simple and sweet, but I also did feel that there were some really nice messages in it as well about all the weird silly reasons that some dogs end up being put into animal shelters and why their owners give them up, and it's a really sad, but at the same time you see how much the people at the shelters love them and are really trying to find them their forever homes. So yeah, I just thought this was really fun. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars for just what it was, which was just a lovely, fun, simple read, and I definitely recommend it. The next book I finished was Spire Study by Maria V. Snyder, and this is the 3rd book in the Poison Study series, and this just follows on with Elena's adventures in Scythia, and Elena's adventures obviously started in Poison Study, so I can't say too much about this book. What I will say is this book is very exhausting in a way, because it starts off with action and it literally just doesn't stop. This is just action packed the entire way through. Literally a third of the way through I started feeling just really emotionally exhausted reading it, because I was just whoa, there really is just no break. I think I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars the first time around. I think I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars this time, just because I felt like I was slower reading it than the last time. I felt like I wasn't as pushed into just really getting through it, really devouring the story and as the first time I read it, but I still really did enjoy it. I really enjoyed how everything kind of wrapped up, and again I definitely want to go on and read Shadow Study, which is the 4th book. So yeah, definitely enjoyed this, love this series. Again, I said that last week, I said that when I read Poison Study all that time ago, but yeah, this was a reread. 4 out of 5 stars. 5 out of 5 stars the first time, 4 out of 5 stars the second time. The next book I read was Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe by Melissa de la Cruz. This is a pretty fun story. It is a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and it is also a gender swap. So in this book we are following a young woman called Darcy Fitzwilliam, who is coming home to her hometown in Ohio for the first Christmas in 8 years, because her mother is unwell, and she goes home and she's kind of having to face a lot of things in her family that she'd kind of run away from all those years ago. And ends up reconnecting with one of her old neighbours, Luke Bennett, who is obviously supposed to be Elizabeth Bennet. They immediately hit it off. There's a lot of chemistry between the two of them, but we also see Darcy just dealing with a whole load of things, and it kind of just goes from there. There's not that much I can say about this book, but there's a lot of things I can say because I liked and disliked it in equal measure. I thought it was a really fun kind of creative reimagining of the story, and I especially liked that it was gender swapped, but I do definitely think this is a book that needed dual point of views. We get the whole story in Darcy's point of view, and I really would have liked every alternate chapter, at least every 3 to 4 chapters, being in Luke's point of view, because he very much had no voice in the story, and we really didn't get to know exactly what he was feeling, and I feel like a lot of stuff that happened just didn't really make sense and weren't really, I feel like Darcy was very much like the Darcy we know, except the coldness was emphasised, and I don't know, I think she was just missing something that Darcy has, which is what we all love about Darcy. Darcy was cold, but he wasn't cruel, he wasn't unkind, he was just a little bit standoffish, and I feel at times with the Darcy we got in this one, it was, she was almost made out to be a little bit cruel and a little bit unkind, where that isn't our Darcy, that isn't the Darcy that we know. And to be honest with Luke, I actually couldn't really say that much, because as I said, Luke very much did not have a voice in this, and I really would have liked to have seen a few chapters in his point of view, so we could see Darcy from his point of view, and just seeing what he was thinking. I don't think this is a story that I felt like it kind of felt back too much on being a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and I was like, well, the people who are reading this have read Pride and Prejudice, so they will know about all these characters and the characters they are supposed to be already. And yes, that is true, but I do feel like the fact that it was a modern retelling and it was a gender swap, it still needed a little bit more. It needed a little bit more other than just being a Pride and Prejudice retelling. So I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars in the end. The book I finished was Miracle on Regent Street by Ali Harris. This was a Christmassy book I picked up really cheap in a bookstore a couple of years ago, and I kept meaning to pick it up at Christmas time, and eventually this year I finally remembered to do it. And this is about a girl called Evie who works in this like really kind of old department store in London, and she's a stockroom girl, and she's kind of one of these people that, you know, everyone goes to her for advice and for when they need someone kind of a shoulder to cry on, but no one ever really seems to listen to her. They don't even know her real name. They all call her by the old stockroom girl's name. They don't actually know her real name is Evie and not Sarah, which is what they all call her. And then she finds out that the store is in danger of closing because it just doesn't have enough customers. And she kind of goes on a mission to kind of secretly transform the store in time for Christmas Day to try and save the store. And we see how she goes about all that. You see kind of the people she ropes into doing it, and this was just a fun, sweet story. Really nice for Christmas time, really nice for anyone who is kind of into fashion or vintage fashion as well, because she kind of ends up kind of transforming herself into kind of a vintage queen in a way, and there's a lot of like really nice clothing descriptions and stuff in this book as well. The store, like, just a lot of the visual descriptions in this were really nice. I really loved them. Like, it is a store, once it was transformed, the store was a place I would really want to go, and I just loved seeing how she was able to transform it and how she roped in like some of the other workers in the store that others again would normally bypass and not really get to know, like the cleaners, the night manager, the delivery boy, like all these people who are normally in the background all kind of came together, and they formed this like really nice little group, this really nice friendship group, people who just needed some friends, people who needed company. And you know, you see how much they get out of being able to do this for the store and being able to do it together, and it was just a really nice story to see. I do think this was a little bit long. This is like almost 500 pages. I feel like it actually could have been about 100 pages less. It did definitely get a little bit slow near the middle of it, and to be honest, Evie she's a tough character to really like. I mean, I liked her because she was obviously a very nice person, she would be a very good friend, but at the same time she is basically a wet blanket. I mean, she goes 2 years happily, well, not really happily, but she goes 2 years allowing people to think her name is Sarah when her name is Evie, and she never once like tells people like that they're wrong, and she kind of like, and she ends up kind of blaming people near the end for not knowing her real name. And it's like, well, how are they supposed to know your real name when you've allowed them for 2 years into thinking that your name is something else? And you know, a lot of the stuff that like has kind of held her back has definitely been her own fault. Like, she needed to be, you know, she's one of these people that, you know, her shyness really was to her detriment. Like, it really limited her in being able to succeed. Like, she could have succeeded years earlier if she had allowed herself. So she's a little bit frustrating at times, and she allows lies to go on a little bit longer than they need to. But overall, the story was really sweet and really fun, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the last book I've been reading, I'm actually not finished yet, and it's just because I've been so busy with Christmas preparations and everything the last 2 days. So it is Moonlight Over Manhattan by Sarah Morgan, and this is a book I was really kindly received by HarperCollins. They sent me this lovely little Christmas package with a couple of Christmas books and Christmas goodies, and this was one of them, so I decided I definitely needed to read it at Christmas. And this book is about a dog walker called Harriet who is very shy. She suffered from a stammer when she was younger, and it's kind of left her as, you know, she's very shy. She doesn't really talk to new people, she doesn't really take risks, that kind of thing, and she has challenged herself to do something kind of scary every day in December, something that all these challenges that she wouldn't normally do, and it ends up where she meets this really good looking doctor, and they kind of hit it off a little bit. It's just kind of about their relationship, and it's coming into Christmas time, so things are a little bit Christmassy. There's snow and dogs and, you know, all those nice things that I tend to like as well myself. So I'm hoping I will like this. So far I'm 100 pages in, and I will say I'm not really enjoying it. I think it's a little bit clunky for me so far, but I'm hoping if I just sit down now without any distractions, because I have been a little bit distracted with just like you know, cleaning up and getting things organised for tomorrow, which is Christmas Day. So I'm hoping I might be able to sit this down with a cup of tea now and really get into it. So in front of the Christmas tree. So hopefully I'll be finished that. I'll probably finish that tomorrow morning at some point maybe. I think I'll get a good chunk of it read tonight and finish it tomorrow. We will see. But yeah, so far it's okay, but I'm hoping it will get better. So that's everything that I've read this week. A load of Christmassy books. Please let me know what you guys have read. Have you guys read any Christmassy books in the run up to Christmas? I would love to know. I hope you guys have a really, really lovely Christmas and a happy new year. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.